What's up everybody, it's Luke James, not the singer, and this is my review for Chris Brown's new album, X. Now this was supposed to come out in July of 2013 originally, but it just came out now in September 2014. Obviously it got pushed back for a lot of reasons, including Chris Brown doing some time at an anger management facility, as well as doing some time at prison. But here it is now. I'm not going to do a track by track for this because it's 21 tracks long, so we're just going to kind of bounce around from track to track here and there, and I'll give you my overall opinion at the end. First of all, we all know that Loyal featuring Lil Wayne and Tyga is just a fun summertime super hit. It was produced by Nick Nack, who has sort of a DJ Mustard sound, and he also produced the song Came to Do featuring Akon, and it has a similar sound to it. Both of these tracks are cool for what they are. They're just some pool party, summertime, cruising with the top down type of music. Another one of the singles off this album is New Flame featuring Rick Ross and Usher. I wasn't a huge fan of this song because I thought the beat was a little bit lazy. It was just a synth loop that sounds like it was made on Fruity Loops, but it wasn't that terrible, and Usher and Chris Brown sounded really good. As for Rick Ross's verse, it's just another Rick Ross verse. You know how all his verses just kind of sound the same? He sounds good, but he never really blows you away with like double time delivery or crazy wordplay. That's the issue with this Rick Ross verse. It's just the same old thing. It's not really bad, but it didn't really fit that well on this song. There's also a video for this song, but unless you want to see Rick Ross's juicy tits, you probably don't care if you miss it. Then there's a track, Autumn Leaves, featuring Kendrick Lamar. This dropped about a week ago. Feel free to do the shmoney dance here if you want to. And I like this song a lot. It has a sort of calm, empty, breezy sounding beat, and Kendrick Lamar just took it to a whole other level, just like he did with his verse on Young Jeezy's Holy Ghost remix. The beat does have some hard drums that kick in just to lift the track up a notch, but all in all it's not a heavy track, it's very smooth and mellow, and Chris Brown and Kendrick Lamar did something special with this song. I think it's one of the better songs on the album. It just feels natural, and it's a nice break from some of the electronica songs on this album, which I'll talk about later. Do Better is another song that really stood out to me. It features Brandy, and this is the first time that I've heard her sing in a while, but she still sounds great, so it was good to see her on this song. The content on this song is pretty interesting too. I think it's very relatable because it's all about how after a breakup you start to question yourself, sometimes depression and other negative feelings and actions can take over, so that was a cool idea they had with this one. And I really like how Brandy and Chris Brown's voices blend together. They sound great on a track. And the same could be said of Chris Brown and Jhené Aiko, who sound great on the song Drunk Texting. The theme of this song is pretty humorous and relatable because it's all about how you get drunk and you start texting somebody that you probably have no business texting because you just gotta leave that in the past. The beat is really chillin' and relaxed, but it does have some angry horns that kick in on the hook, and that really helps to bring the track up a notch and mix things up without making it go too far left and sound weird. There's also a track with Aaliyah called Don't Think They Know, and this has a very traditional 90s R&B feel to it. On Twitter, Chris Brown described this song as a dedication to his fans, basically saying, don't get too caught up in the media and the blogs and all that stuff that they're saying. They don't really know what's going on, and thank you for your support and appreciation. So it did have a theme to it. It wasn't really that deep, but it was nice to hear Aaliyah on here because she has one of the most angelic voices ever. It's a shame we had to lose her. The track Lost in Your Love also has more of a traditional R&B feel to it, but it doesn't really stand out in any way on this album, other than the fact that it's not one of the dance electronica songs, which I am getting to. Fine China, that came out a long time ago, there's a video for that, and the song Add Me In are two nice additions on this album. They have a very funky sort of feel to them, and I think they'd work well in your car just cruising down the highway, something like that. But one of the songs that stood out the most to me was Songs on 12 Play featuring Trey Songz. This was a really cool track because it's a tribute to R. Kelly and his album 12 Play. All throughout the song, they're making references to some of R. Kelly's songs. For example, they talk about bumping and grinding, feeling on your booty, how they want you to sex me, not me, but sex them, but sex me, you know, the R. Kelly song. And it has an old school R. Kelly sort of feel to the beat, so this is the type of song that I think people would grind real nasty all over each other too. And since I mentioned R. Kelly, he's featured on the song Drownin' It, which is kind of laughable and corny because it's just a cat eating anthem, all about how they're going to make you so wet that they're going to drown in it. But the beat is really sexy, so I can appreciate the song for what it is. And we all know R. Kelly is kind of silly. I still can't get over on the song Snake when he said that he's making it so funky that somebody farted or something along those lines. I don't want to hear about farts in my R&B songs. I don't think that's too much to ask. So about the clubby, more electronica, dance, techno-y sounding songs. There's a lot of them on here, and I really wasn't feeling any of them. Tracks like X, Don't Be Gone Too Long, Body Shots, and Love Me More are perfect examples of these songs. They're just not interesting, they just don't stand out. They serve their purpose for being club music, but it just sounds like something that any other R&B artist could have pieced together. And I know Chris Brown makes this style of music, so what can I really say? But it's still not very good, and I would have liked to see something a little more interesting on this album. And I guess that's part of the issue I had with this album. It's 21 songs, and they're all just kind of jumbled together. It makes the album feel a little less consistent, and it also feels like some of this album was rushed, or that something got lost in translation along the way when they were making this album. Which is pretty reasonable, because between Chris Brown going through all the dumb shit that he had to go through, spending time in prison in that anger management facility, it makes sense that this album wouldn't be that cohesive and perfect, because this was supposed to come out a long time ago. So I give this album a 3 out of 5. I think his fans are going to be pleased with what it is, but I don't think there's really anything overly interesting or unique here that's going to make him new fans or make people pay extra attention to him if they don't pay attention to him already. And I just feel like Chris Brown, being such a big name and being one of the most popular people in R&B, I just feel like he should be setting more trends and his music should be a little bit more interesting, but it just seems like this is the same old Chris Brown, which again, some artists do that. They stay in their lane because they just want to cater to their fans and make that pop music money. I get it. But with all the shit that Chris Brown has been through, I really think that without losing his fan base, he could maybe make some songs that had a little bit more depth and detail in them. Maybe go into some more detail about some of the stuff that he had to deal with being in prison, some of his different breakups, all that type of stuff. I mean, he does mention some of these issues, but it's so surface that it doesn't really hit you. I just think the songs that have a more traditional classic R&B sound on this album sound way better than this watered down, over-manufactured, poppy crap. But maybe that's just me showing my age. At the same time, my wife is a huge Chris Brown fan, and when she listened through this album, she was disappointed. She didn't think that it was near as good as any of his other albums, and she prefers Fame to this one, for example. But you know what? It is what it is. This is just my opinion on a Chris Brown album. I love R&B, but this album was lacking. I only liked about 7 or 8 of the songs on here. And even though, like I said, people could say to me, what were you expecting from Chris Brown? I still expect more from artists. I want to be intrigued. I want to be blown away. I want you to surprise me with something. But that just didn't happen here. Being surprised by greatness and creativity is a good thing, but this is what it is, and I'm sure I'm going to get bashed by a lot of his fans and other people for this review, but hey, it's my opinion. I don't care. It's how I feel. So that's that. That's all I have to say about X, Chris Brown's new album. Check out some of my other reviews. If you're an indie artist and you want a review, you can hit me up at luke@redmattersite.com and we can discuss it. Or if you just have any feedback for me, you can hit me up. Let me know if there's an album I missed that you want me to do. Follow me on Twitter, like my videos, comment, subscribe to my channel, etc. All that great stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.